Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to episode 2 of The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. So, yeah, last time we just kind of got reacquainted with everything, reintroduced, and got to even meet some new characters. We had these 2 new kids move in Sticky's old house, and one of them is an activist, but she's a little extreme with it. It definitely needs to be dialed back a bit. Activism is great. It's something that we should strive for and strive to take part in, even if just online. But going far enough to like break into a zoo after hours to try and free a panda is like, I get it. I get what you're going for, girl, but it's a little too much. It is. Now, we also had a big focus on our characters kind of growing up, hitting puberty, and just on their way to adulthood. And yeah, they're still teenagers, they've still got time and everything, but it's kind of delivering us those first steps. Something that we've gone through for those of us who are past that point in our lives. It's a really mature look into it too, with the way Penny even confronts her father and everything, and they have to deal with that. So I like how they're handling it so far. All the characters that have returned are, yeah, they're what we expect from these characters. All of them are pretty much the same, but the art and animation has definitely had a big upturn. It's much better, much more dynamic looking, and that's a good thing, obviously. And honestly, something that was very much expected to happen. The opening is a remix of the original theme, and it's good, but it's, after listening to it again and everything, it's a little bit much. Like, they really lean into the fact that it's a remix, and so I think I like the original, just the normal version better. Just personally. It's just a personal opinion. If you or anyone likes the remix better, that's fine. I understand the appeal behind it. And I'm not saying it's bad. It's just I prefer the original. I think the remix takes it a little too far. But yeah, I'm definitely interested to see what more they do with this, how far they go, because this series, like, even with the original show from, like, 2 decades ago, pretty much, even the original was very progressive in its themes and had a lot of great moments that really stand out. Like, it's been a long-ass time since I watched it. I watched it when it first debuted, when it first, like, was airing and everything, so I don't remember everything from it. There's only certain little things, and most of what I do remember, I've been reminded about through posts on social media and stuff, and occasional video clips I've seen. But yeah, it's like, there's been some great stuff that they could easily update this series with in the modern era. And I'm really glad about that. I'm really happy that we're getting these updates. And I can't wait to see what more they do in that regard. So we're just going to get into this, hope for the best, and see what the episode has in store. So, and as one more reminder, as you've noticed, this is on a different day from last week. It's because we started our new schedule. Obviously, you can always check the channel banner for the current schedule. Unless 2 shows are changing at once and I want to change the channel banner after, like, the second show changes over, usually I update it right away as possible. But yeah, um, you can always check that to see what the current schedule is for the weekly reactions. Either way, let's get this going. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So yeah, another good episode with another good kind of lesson to this. With the first one dealing both with growing up as well as activism, this one deals with social media and influence. It deals with how social media can absorb your life and how becoming famous on social media can affect how you act, how you treat others, and just your way of life, basically. It teaches about the dangers of becoming too obsessed with getting more followers and selling out your soul, basically, for online popularity. This is obviously a lesson that's been beaten to death in various media, but just in general, all over the place. And I think most creators online, no matter what kind of creator they are, tend to understand this. It's not actually that super common for creators to get completely lost in this, at least not anymore. Maybe it was before. But it does still happen. There are still some who definitely get lost in the fame and everything and the followers and just become completely different people because of it. So it's still a valid lesson, especially for people who are newer getting into the influencer community, especially with things like TikTok and whatnot, becoming a just mainstream source of content online. Like last time, there were some really odd jokes with this one, most notably the stuff involving Sugar Mama and all of that, with the dentures kind of having a mind of their own, and then the Incredible Hulk transformation at the end, which we know obviously isn't going to carry over or anything, but it was interesting. But I like how Penny is at first calling out Makeup Boy, and even all her friends for this kind of obsessive online culture, but then ends up becoming lost in it herself after she just kind of gets lost in the power of it. Especially since she starts off with just these mundane things, but soon starts like getting into full-blown cancel culture, and specifically making sure she cancels pretty much everyone who speaks out against her, doesn't like her, she doesn't like, or whatever. And it obviously goes too far to where it's like that's all she's really doing. So it's like she's not even really putting out real content anymore, outside of just like, oh, this is who I'm canceling today. And it's like, the sad thing is some people would definitely watch that. A lot of people would probably watch that. But at the same time, it's like, that's a kind of another lesson in this, is that we can't and shouldn't just automatically take the advice or views of someone online as our truths when it comes to determining whether or not something is good for us. In terms of someone being canceled by someone online, we should do our own research and look into things before we just follow someone else's view on that and listen to them. And if the views align, then yeah, fine. But only if the views align with the truths. Definitely look things up and try to actually form your own opinions. Don't just look to everyone else. I feel like a lot of people still need to learn that. Like it's especially prevalent when it comes to pretty much any piece of media, movies, shows, video games. Everyone likes to watch reviews before they've even consumed that piece of media. Like a new movie comes out, they'll see reviews, even if they're non spoilery, beforehand and form their opinions based on those reviews. It's like, oh, this movie's getting bad reviews. Well, we're going to go into it expecting it to be bad because we've heard those bad reviews. So we're not going to end up liking it because we expected it to be bad already. It's it's not right. That's not how you're supposed to view a piece of media. You're supposed to go in it and form your own opinions based on your own experiences. So just having someone else's influence control your thoughts, your opinions and everything is not really okay. I've always had an issue with that. And it's kind of to a degree addressed in here. How influence from people who have that kind of clout online can make people just do and say and believe things without forming their own opinions, their own thoughts, their own coming to their own conclusions. And how people will just fall for that. Maya continues to be a recurring character, which is good. I was hoping so. And she is, let's be honest, she's kind of the hero in this one. Penny at first started off kind of that way, but because she ended up getting lost in the clout as well, Maya ended up having to come to the rescue. And she was a lot more tolerable in this too. In the first episode, Maya was a lot more. She was a lot. She was a lot, let's be honest. But in this episode, she was actually a lot better. She showed a lot more to her personality and her character, and she did help stop things. Understanding that Penny had gone too far, probably because Penny had told her when she went too far. So, yeah, it's cool, kind of almost seeing a little bit of development there, maybe. But also, I like what they're doing with Maya here, showing that she does have both of those sides to her. And I do like the Uncle Ruckus shout-outs. Like, again, Boondocks was a show that I didn't, like, super actively watch, but I did see on occasion here and there. So I very much know who Uncle Ruckus is. And it's like, that was a fun shout-out. Especially when talking about sellouts. It's like, I get the joke there. And I heard Boondocks was actually going to be making a revival too, but apparently it ended up falling through. Like it ended up the revival ended up getting canceled or something, which sucks because that show was huge. People really look back on that fondly for its themes and ideas, and even its humor. I was never into it as much as other people, but I definitely see the appeal behind it, and people wanted it to come back, and it sucks that apparently it's, at least for now, put on the back burner. But yeah, I really like what they did with the characters, and even having all of Penny's friends fall into this trap too. It's like, yeah, this can happen to anyone. Anyone can fall into the trap of being totally convinced and controlled by these influencers, to the point of even spending a lot of money on them, whether to get an autograph and a photo, whether to buy the products they shill, etc., etc. And again, a lot of influencers, a lot of just content creators in general nowadays, of course, know more about this, and most of them do tend to keep themselves held back in that regard. But there are still some who do have that issue, who do become completely just enveloped by the kind of culture and almost kind of become different people because of it. I mean, you could think of like the Jeffree Stars of the world, or even the Paul brothers. Like, I'm sure they weren't as bad when they first started out. They probably weren't the shitbags they are now when they began. But because they became so popular and so just completely engrossed in that clout, it took over their lives and their personalities, and they became terrible. Obviously, not everyone is even in that kind of extreme, but still, you get the idea. But yeah, it was a very enjoyable episode, and I hope that these episodes continue to touch on these kind of big, important topics. Because I think this is a good way to handle it. It handles the episodic nature well, while still having each episode have a focus to it, where it's not just this random little thing. Each episode has its focus, each episode has its lesson and its identity, and I think that's smart. That's a very, just genuinely smart way to handle this. So yeah, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of episode 2 of Proud Family, Louder and Prouder? Excuse me. And thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.